My mother uninvited me from her wedding because her fiancé can't stand me. My three brothers found out, and none of them showed up, leaving her with no kids on her perfect day. I'm 18 years old, just finished high school, and honestly, I need to tell this story because I feel like if I don't get it out of my system, I'm going to explode. What happened a few months ago with my mom basically destroyed whatever relationship I thought we had. And the truth is that looking back, maybe we never had a real relationship to begin with. I guess I should start at the beginning, or at least where everything really started to fall apart. My parents got divorced when I was like 6 years old. I think the memory from that time is kind of blurry, but I remember it was actually pretty quiet. Nothing dramatic. They just stopped being together and that was it. My mom, Michelle, kept the house, and my dad moved to an apartment not too far away. And since then, I've been going back and forth between the two houses. I have 3 younger brothers. Mason is 16, Ryan is 14, and the youngest is like 11. And we're all from my mom and dad, so the situation was always shared family. You know, 1 week with mom, 1 week with dad, that kind of thing. For years that worked more or less okay. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't terrible either. It was just our normal. The thing is that my mom met Brian like 3 years ago, maybe a little more, and from the beginning something felt weird about that guy. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it was like he had this energy of wanting to control everything, and my mom just let him. At first it wasn't that obvious. I mean, he was polite and all that, but over time, I started to notice that my mom changed when he was around. Like she became a different person, more tense, more focused on keeping him happy than on anything else. And looking back now, I should have seen it coming. All those comments Brian made about my dad, all those times my mom canceled plans with me to be with him, all those signs were there, but I ignored them because, well, she was my mom, and I still had hope that things would get better. The real problem started like 6 months ago when I overheard my mom talking on the phone with someone about the wedding. Brian and her had gotten engaged last year, and I knew they were planning to get married, but we had never talked about specific details with me. I was in my room at my mom's house, and she was in the living room, talking super excited about the venue, the dress, the food, all those things. And I thought, well, eventually she's going to tell me something. Eventually we're going to sit down and talk about this as a family. I automatically assumed I would be there. Obviously. I mean, I'm her daughter. Her only daughter. Why wouldn't I be at her wedding? I even started thinking about what I would wear, if maybe I could be a bridesmaid or something like that, even though the idea made me kind of uncomfortable because Brian and I have never had a good relationship, but still, it was my mom's wedding. One day, I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not sure. My mom asked me to sit down and talk. I thought, okay, finally we're going to discuss the wedding thing. Maybe she wants to ask me for help with something or ask my opinion about the arrangements or whatever. We sat down in the kitchen and she had this expression on her face that I couldn't decipher, like nervous but also determined, you know? And she started by telling me she needed to talk to me about the wedding. So far so good, right? But then she said, Olivia, I've been thinking a lot about this, and Brian and I have talked at length, and well, we've decided it would be better if you didn't attend the ceremony. I literally sat there processing those words because they didn't make sense. I mean, what do you mean better if I don't attend? I asked her what she meant by that, and she started with this super long explanation about how Brian feels uncomfortable with me because apparently I remind him a lot of my dad, both physically and in my personality or whatever, and that he wants his day to be perfect, and without any kind of tension, and that they had decided that the best thing for everyone was for me to just not be there. She said it like that, so casual, like she was telling me she changed her mind about what to have for dinner, not like she was telling me she didn't want me at one of the most important days of her life, because her boyfriend, her fiancé, couldn't stand to see me. I couldn't speak for a few seconds. I literally felt like someone had punched me in the stomach and I couldn't get my breath back. I asked her if she was serious, and she just nodded and said yes, that she understood it was difficult, but that she hoped I could be mature about it and understand that this was for the best. Best for who? I asked her, and she said, for everyone, for the family, to start this new chapter without conflicts. I tried to explain to her that I had never caused any conflict, that if Brian had a problem with me, it was his problem, not mine. But she just kept repeating that. She had already made the decision and that she hoped I would respect it. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, she tells me they're also going to have to cancel the birthday dinner we had planned. My birthday is literally the day after her wedding, and we had planned to have a family dinner to celebrate. Nothing big, just immediate family, but apparently those plans also had to change because Brian and her decided to extend their honeymoon and weren't going to be in town. So basically, not only was she uninviting me from her wedding, but she was also canceling my birthday, my 19th birthday, which was technically going to be the last one before I turned 20 and officially enter my 20s, and all because Brian couldn't postpone his honeymoon one day. That night I went to my dad's house and cried for hours, like I couldn't stop crying because it hurt in a way I can't explain. It wasn't just the wedding or the birthday, it was everything that represented, it was my mom choosing this guy over me. It was my mom basically telling me that I didn't matter enough to be at her special day. My dad was furious when I told him, like I had never seen him so angry. And he told me that was completely unacceptable and that he was going to talk to my mom. But I asked him not to do it yet because I needed to process everything first. Like 2 weeks passed and I was still living with my dad. I hadn't even gone back to my mom's house because honestly I didn't want to see her, and then my brothers started asking me what was going on. Mason was the first to notice that something was wrong, because normally I go back and forth between the houses, but I had been gone from mom's house for 2 weeks. I told him everything. Well, not everything, but enough for him to understand the situation, and he got like crazy. He told me that was total bullshit and that he wasn't going to go to the wedding either if I wasn't going. I told him he didn't have to do that I didn't want to cause more drama, but he insisted that no, that if mom was going to exclude her own daughter, then he didn't want to be part of that. Ryan and my younger brother also found out eventually. I think Mason told them because suddenly all three were calling me and asking me if it was true that mom had uninvited me from the wedding. Ryan, who has always been like the peacemaker of the family, the one who always tries to get everyone to get along, even he was upset and told me it didn't seem fair. And my younger brother, who's 11 years old, and honestly, I don't think he fully understands the whole situation. I also said that if I wasn't going, he didn't want to go either because weddings are boring anyway, which made me laugh a little despite everything. The thing is that my mom found out that my brothers were considering not going to the wedding and she literally exploded. She called me screaming, telling me that I was manipulating my brothers, that I was ruining her wedding, that I was selfish and dramatic, and that all of this was my fault. I told her I hadn't done anything, that the only thing I did was tell them the truth when they asked me, and that if they decided not to go, it was because they could see for themselves that what she was doing was wrong. She kept screaming, and then Brian grabbed the phone and started telling me that I was a spoiled child and that I needed to grow up and stop causing problems. And I just hung up, because I wasn't going to stand there listening to that guy insult me. A few days later, I decided I needed to have a face-to-face conversation with my mom, because this couldn't continue like this. I went to her house, knocked on the door, and when she opened it, she had this expression like exhaustion, like all of this was a huge inconvenience for her. We went inside and sat down, and I told her we needed to really talk. Without yelling, without drama, just talk. I told her that honestly, I felt like we had never had a real connection. That all my life I had felt like she was there physically, but never really present emotionally. And that this wedding thing only confirmed what I had always suspected, that I wasn't a priority for her. I expected that maybe she would deny it, that maybe she would say something, anything, that would make me feel like I was wrong. But she just sat there looking at me and then said, "Well, Olivia, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I've done the best I could." "The best you could?" I said. "The best you could is excluding your daughter from your wedding because your boyfriend has issues?" And then Brian came out of nowhere and told me I needed to leave his house, that he wasn't going to allow me to disrespect Michelle that way, and I told him that this was my mom's house, not his house, and that he had no right to kick me out. But my mom, my own mom, I didn't say anything. She just sat there while Brian yelled at me to get out, and eventually I just grabbed my stuff and left because there was no point in staying there. That was the last time I was in that house. It's been like 4 months since that. I moved permanently with my dad, and honestly, it's been much better, like calmer, more stable. My dad never makes me feel like I'm a burden or a problem. He just supports me, and that's it. Mason also ended up moving in with us, because he said he couldn't keep living with mom knowing how she had treated me. And Ryan spends more time at dad's house now too, although he still divides his time because he's still trying to keep the peace with everyone. As the wedding date got closer, like 2 weeks before, my mom started texting me again, but this time her tone was different, like more desperate. She was telling me to please reconsider, that she loved me, that she wanted us to be okay, but she never mentioned anything about the wedding or about apologizing for everything that had happened. It was like she just wanted me to say everything was fine so she could feel better about herself. I responded once telling her that if she really cared about our relationship, she needed to acknowledge the damage she had caused me and make real changes, not just send me empty messages, and she never responded to that. A week before the wedding, Mason called me and told me that Mom and Brian had had a conversation with him trying to convince him to go to the wedding, that they had told him I was being dramatic and that all of this was a misunderstanding, and that they really wanted everyone to be there. Mason asked them directly if I was invited now, and Brian said no, that still wasn't an option, but that they hoped the rest of the family would attend. Mason told them that then he definitely wasn't going to go, that he wasn't going to celebrate a wedding where his sister wasn't welcome, and that frankly, he was starting to see a pattern in how Mom always chose what Brian wanted over what her own children needed. Apparently, that caused a huge fight, and Mom told Mason that he was choosing me over her, and Mason told her that no, he was choosing to do the right thing, that there was a difference. He also told her something that he told me later, and that made me cry when I heard it. He told her that she had always been like this, that there had always been favoritism and emotional manipulation in how she treated her children, and that he was old enough now to see it clearly and wasn't going to keep participating in that. My 6-year-old brother saw things that I had been trying to ignore for years, and he had the courage to tell her to her face. After that conversation, my mom tried one last thing that was completely bizarre. She showed up at my dad's house unannounced, knocked on the door, and when my dad opened it, she asked if she could talk to me. My dad asked me if I wanted to talk to her, and I said yes, mostly because I was curious to see what she wanted. I went out, and we sat on the porch, and she started with this speech about how she knew things had been difficult but that she really wanted to fix our relationship and start over after the wedding. I asked her what about the wedding itself, and she said, well, that was already decided, but we could work on our relationship after. I told her I didn't understand how she expected our relationship to get better when she couldn't even acknowledge that excluding me from her wedding was wrong, and she started with this thing of, well, Olivia, sometimes in life we have to make sacrifices for the people we love, and Brian and I are building a new life together, and I need him to feel comfortable. I asked her, what about me? What about me feeling comfortable and loved and valued? And she didn't know what to say. She literally stayed quiet for like a full minute and then said she needed to leave. And that was it. She left and I haven't seen her since then. Like 3 days before the wedding, I got a message from Brian, which was super random because he and I never text directly. The message said something like, Olivia, I need you to understand that none of this is personal. I just want what's best for your mother and for our family. And it would be good if you could apologize to her for the stress you've caused her these past few weeks. I read it like 3 times because I couldn't believe he was actually asking me to apologize, as if I had done something wrong. I didn't respond. I just blocked him because honestly I didn't have the energy to deal with his narcissism. Then my mom tried something else. She asked my dad to go to the wedding. Yeah, you heard that right? She asked her ex-husband to attend her wedding to her new husband, and the reason was literally to keep the peace and show the kids that we could all get along. My dad told me, and we both laughed because it was so absurd. Like, did she really think that was going to work? My dad told her no. That he wasn't going to go celebrate a wedding where his daughter had been excluded. And that, frankly, he thought what she was doing was terrible and that she was permanently damaging her relationship with her children. The wedding day came, and none of us went. Obviously. Mason, Ryan, and my younger brother stayed with my dad and me. And the truth is, it was a normal day. We barbecued, watched movies, played video games. It was nice. We didn't talk much about the wedding itself. I think we were all avoiding the subject. But it felt good to be together, like we were choosing each other over the drama and toxicity, My younger brother asked at one point if Mom was going to be mad at us, and Mason told him she probably would be. But that didn't mean we had done anything wrong. That sometimes doing the right thing means disappointing other people. Like, 2 days after the wedding, I got a message from a number I didn't know with a photo of my mom and Brian at the wedding. They looked happy, everything looked beautiful and perfect, and honestly, when I saw that photo, I felt absolutely nothing, like total emptiness. I don't know who sent it to me. Maybe it was someone from the extended family, or maybe it was Mom herself, from someone else's phone. I don't know, and I don't care either. I just deleted it and went on with my day. It's been like 3 months since the wedding, and my mom has tried to contact me a few more times, always with the same type of messages. That she misses me, that she wants to talk, that we should fix things, but never anything concrete, never a real apology or acknowledgement of what she did. I responded once like a month ago and told her I was open to having a real conversation if she was willing to acknowledge the damage she caused and work on changing her behavior patterns, but she never responded to that. So I guess that's my answer. Mason is doing well. He's also limited his contact with mom and basically lives full-time with dad now. Ryan still divides his time, but even he has reduced how much he's at mom's house. And he says that when he's there, everything feels tense and uncomfortable because Brian is always there being controlling and mom acts different. My younger brother doesn't fully understand the whole situation yet, but he's already started asking more questions about why things changed so much, and I don't know how to answer him without making it more confusing for him. My dad has been incredible through all of this. Like, he's always been there to listen when I need to talk or just be present when I don't want to talk. And he's never made me feel guilty or like I was causing problems. He's told me several times that what my mom did was unfair and that I don't have to forgive her or maintain a relationship with her if I don't want to, that that's my decision and he's going to support me no matter what. That means a lot, you know? Having at least one parent who validates you and makes you feel like your feelings matter. The thing is that I thought I was going to be sadder about all of this. But honestly, I feel more liberated than anything else. Like, all my life, I was trying to earn my mom's love and attention, trying to be enough for her, and it never worked because the problem wasn't me. The problem was that she wasn't willing or wasn't capable of giving me what I needed. And now that I finally accept it, I can stop chasing something I was never going to get. You know? I can focus my energy on relationships that are healthy and reciprocal. My birthday came and I celebrated it with my dad and my brothers. Nothing fancy. We just went out to dinner and then watched a movie at home. And it was honestly one of the best birthdays I've had, because I was surrounded by people who really love me and value me. I didn't get anything from my mom that day. Not a message, not a call, nothing. And that hurt a little if I'm being honest. But it was also like the final confirmation that she chose her new marriage over me, and that's a choice she's going to have to live with. Sometimes I wonder if she regrets it. If she ever thinks about what she lost when she decided I wasn't important enough to be at her wedding. But the truth is, she probably doesn't. She's probably convinced herself that she did the right thing and that I'm the one being dramatic. And that's okay. Honestly, because I don't need her validation or her love anymore. I've learned that I can be okay without that. I'm starting college in a few months, and I'm excited about that new chapter, about being able to focus on my future and building my own life without all this toxicity. Mason is going to be in his senior year of high school, and he's already talking about coming to live with me when I move for college. He says he wants to get out of this town and start fresh somewhere else. And honestly, that sounds good. Ryan has also mentioned that when he's old enough, he'll probably do the same. Just spend minimum time at mom's house out of legal obligation and then leave when he can. I don't know what's going to happen with my relationship with my mom long term. If eventually we'll be able to have some kind of relationship or if this is permanent. And the truth is, I don't obsess over it like I used to. I've accepted that some people, even our own parents, aren't always going to be capable of giving us what we need, and that it's okay to walk away from relationships that hurt us, even if those relationships are with family. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Obviously, it hurts. It'll probably always hurt a little. But the pain is different now. It's more like sadness for what could have been instead of a constant open wound. Last week, I was organizing some old photos and I found one from when I was like 5 years old, before the divorce, where I'm with my mom and we're both smiling. I stared at that photo for a good while, wondering at what point things changed, at what point she stopped seeing me as her priority. But the truth is, I probably never was, and I was just too young to realize it. And that's okay. I've made peace with that. I put the photo back in the box and went on with my day. Because my life can't keep being about my mom and her decisions. It has to be about me and what I want to build for my future. So yeah, that's my story. The story of how I found out I wasn't invited to my own mother's wedding because her husband doesn't like me, and how my whole family ended up exploding because of it. It sounds like something from a dramatic movie, but it's completely real, and it's my life. Do I regret anything? Honestly, no. I think everything happened the way it had to happen so that I could finally see the situation clearly and make decisions based on what's best for me, not on what keeps the peace or makes others happy. And that, I guess, is the only good thing that came out of this whole mess.